What?
Tona niskavin lichtov os achas. He wanted to write a ches, which is one letter, v'olav yodai shtayim, and he ended up writing two zayins. So he's chayiv. Gemara says v'hatanan potter. We had a mishnah that said you're potter if you do that. Like kasha had the boy ziyuni if you needed to put the tagim still on the zayins, then you would not be chayiv. Had the low boy ziyuni. If the ches had tagim on it, and when you divide it up, it came out with tagin, then you would be chayiv. Because without the tagin, it's like not a complete letter. Then the Mishnah said, Kosov os achas nutrikon. If you wrote like an abbreviation letter, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Beser b'chai v'chachamim poitrin. Am Rabbi Yehoshua Rabbi Yosef ben Zimra. Minay lishon nutrikon min haTorah. Where do you see that there is a concept of like abbreviations, Roshei Tevos? Shenemar ki av hamon goyim netatich. Right? Avram changed his name to Avraham because of av hamon goyim av nesatich ala umos. I gave a father to the nations. Bachur nesatich ala umos. I gave like a choice person for the to give rise to nations. Hamon chaviv nesatich ala umos. I gave somebody who is chaviv. Melech nesatich, I gave a melech. Vasik nesatich ba'umos, someone who is old and wise. Neman nesatich umos, I gave somebody trustworthy. That's the Av Hamon Goyim nesatich. The Aleph Beis Hey Gimel Nun. Rav Yochanan Didei Omer Anoichi Noitrikon. The Anoichi by the Aseret Dibros is also abbreviation of Anon Avshi Ksivas Yahavis. I myself wrote this, I'm giving it to you. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking. Rabbanon Armi Amira Ni'ima Ksiva Yehiva. That a beautiful Amira was written and given. Iked Amri Anoichi Lemafreya. Some people learn Anoichi backwards. That means Yud Chaf Nun Aleph. Yehivi Ksiva Nemonim Amareo. That I will give a writing that's Nemon through its speech. Now, Dver Abnoson Amru, that the Roshei Tevos, that the raya from the Torah is by Bilam. Because when Bilam was writing his Chamor, it says, Kiorata derech l'negdi. And the Yarat refers to Yara, Rasa, Natasa. The Aton, the mule, saw, he was afraid, and then he moved over, Natasa. Dver Rabbi Shmuel Tana Carmel. From Lechem the Kaliva Carmel. Carmel is Carmole. That means the kernel has to fill the wheat in order for you to harvest for the omer. Ravacha bar Yaakov Amar v'hu kilalani klalani mretzet. David HaMelech gives over at Savo to his son Shlomo HaMelech that he wants him to kill Shimi ben Gera. And he says, because he cursed me, a strong curse. Nimretzes is a notrikon for Noefu. Shimi was an adulterer. Moyavihu. Or it's what Shimi said about David HaMelech, that he's a product of an adultery because they thought he was a mamzer. Moyavihu, Rotseach, he's a murderer. Sorer, who he's an enemy. Toevahu. That's the klolo nimretzes that he said about me. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Omar, man edaber uman itzdadak. When Yehuda is trying to defend the brothers in front of Yosef, he says, what is it to say? How can we be matzdik ourselves? It means nitzdadak is a Roshei Tevis for nechonim anachnu. We are correct, tzadikim anachnu, tohorim anachnu, dakim anachnu, which means we're straight people, kedoshim anachnu. Mishnah. Person forgot that it was Shabbos, and he wrote a shin. Then he remembered it was Shabbos, and then he forgot again, and he wrote a second letter, mem. Or second case, he writes one letter, achas shachris v'achas ben arbayim. Rabbi Gamliel machayiv v'chachomim poitrin. Rabbi, b'maika miflagi. Rabbi Gamliel sover ein yediyah l'chatzi shir. The fact that you had a yediyah, you didn't have a yediyah in between something that's not really a shir is not even taken into account. So since one letter is only half a shir, whatever machshava you had in between it doesn't count. So you can add the two letters in as if it was one halom. Rabbanon sover yesh yediyah l'chatzi shir. They say no. A yediyah in the middle, even of a chatzi shir, can break the yediyah. We hold like the chachamim that yesh yediyah l'chatzi shir, and this, if you forgot that it was Shabbos and wrote one letter, and then remembered, and then you forgot again, you wrote the second letter, you would be potter, according to the Rambam, who we paskin. Okay, we finished 12 prakim already, Masechta Shabbos. Let's start the 13th, Perek HaOreg. Little complicated concepts about weaving. Rabbi Yezer Oimer HaOreg Shloisha Chutin Batchila. Whoever weaves 3 threads, if you're going to start something, or achas ala arik, let's say there's already a part of the beged is woven, and you add even one, so that's already chayiv. The chachamim bein batchila bein basov shiru shnei chutin. They say it doesn't make difference when you start, whether you start or you finish. It's always got to be at least two of these weavings. Now, ha'osa shtei batei nirin. You in weaving, they would put 2 loops of thread in that machine. Right? The concept of weaving is shesi ve'erev, right? You'd have some threads going this way and some threads going that way, horizontal to it, perpendicular to it. And there was a device that they would have threads tied to it. They would lift it up and down and up and down and up. And that's how they would get the threads to go and be woven. So if you do shtei batinirin, whether banirin, whether bakirus, which the Gemara will explain, banafaf was in a basket, bakvaro, vasal, in all cases, chayiv. The toifer shtei tfiris is sewing. So you're chayiv for sewing. Watch my hand. You have to have a needle with thread on it, and you go in and out. So that's considered 2 tfiris. That's considered 2 tfiris. You're only really sewing one thing there, but it's considered 2 tfiris. Then hakoreya on the naslit for shtei tfiris. Tearing is chayiv, but it's got to be a tearing because you want to sew there, at least 2 tfiris. So that's what the Mishnah says. So Kias Rav Yitzchak Toni Shtayim, that the Chachamim said you need 2 chutin. I v'anantnad shalish. There's a Mishnah that says you need 3 loikasha. Ha balimi ha biktin. Depends whether the thread is thick or thin. And the nafkamina is armi lo lahaigis or armi lahaigis. Some people learn one way, some people learn the other way. Meaning, armi lo lahaigis, that alimi, if it's thick thread, tlosa lo sosri. If you sew 3 of these loops, it will not come apart. But because of the thickness of the thread, if you only sew 2, it will come apart. So according to that Manda Omar, you need 3 for alime. Ktini, if the thread is thin, treinami lo sasri, even if you make 2 loops, it won't come apart because it's tight, because the thread was thin. That's one way they learn. Armi lo laigi, so the people learn the other way. That kitini, small thin threads need plusa. Because then because you can see 3 threads easily. Trey lo yadi, if you see 2 of them, you wouldn't even know that it was woven. However, alimi, if the thread is thick, trey nami yadi, you can see weaving process even with two chutin. Tanya, we learn a baraisa. Ha'orek shloisha chutin batchila. You started weaving 3, or you have a beged already ve'echad al orek chayiv. Whether you're starting, whether you're ending, shiur and shnei chutin, the shiur is 2 chutin. Uvesafa, by the hem, shnei chutin barochav shlosha batinirin. You have to sew 2 threads within a 3-block distance. Halamazadoime, what is that like? La'oireg tziltzul cotton, like somebody who weaves a small belt. Shnei chutin barochav shlosha batinirin, which would be 2 threads in its width of this 3. The batinirin are the loops that they put around that beam that they then put into that loom thing for the weaving. Which is stomach Rabbi Eliezer, which is like Rabbi Eliezer of our Mishnah. Tanya Yidich, there's another brayso. For example, if you weave 2 threads on the gas, Rashi says a large woven thing, ve'ala imra, which is the beginning of a woven thing, chayiv. And Rabbi Yezra'am afilo echad, even just 1 thread added. Uvesafa, by the hem, shnei chutin brachav shlosh batinim chayiv. Halamazadom elo orik tziltzul cotton, like weaving a small belt, which would be shnei chutin al rochav shlosh batinim. Ve'ha orik shnei chutin al agas fala imra, if you add shnei chutin to previously large woven material, chayiv. Here, that's stomach Rabbanan. This price is like Rabbanan, who said that you need shnei chutin. Then we said, it's a shnei batei banirin. What does that mean? My banirin. On Rabaya, tarti bebatei nira, 2 of these woven movements in one period of a batei nir. V'chada banira, and the third is the final thread that I guess you wrap around the reed to sort of tighten it. What's bakerus? My bakerus amarav mitzuvisa. That's the part that takes the stick that goes up and down as you're weaving. Okay, so that's about weaving. Not that clear. We need one of those, someone needs to come with a loom and show, we need a show and tell, so we can see exactly what this was in the time of Chazal. Hatoifer shtei tfiris. So we said, if you sew, you got to go in and out, and that's 1 tfira, and that's 2 tfiris, which you'd be chayiv for. It already said. What are you repeating it? Mishum de kaboyle Mr. Sefer. Right, the ratio is not a chiddush, but the sefer is a chiddush. Hakoreya manaslit for state tfiras. Tearing, in order to be chayiv for tearing, the shear is you tear in order to be able to sew now 2 tefillas. Ktani nami atoifer. So that's still talking about 2 tefillas, which we know already. V'hakoreya, tearing is hanami tanina ba'avos melachos. So there's no big chiddush by koreya because it said that in the Mishnah Klal Gadol by avos melachos. Elo mishum the kavod l'misli say for the next Mishnah, where we say a koreya b'chamasoi. Let's say somebody tears something in a destructive manner because he's angry, or because he's tearing because of his mace. And there we're going to say you're potter. That if you're korea because that's a constructive type of tearing. Because sometimes you have to tear something because you want to sew further. So that's why the Mishnah had to mention shtei tfiris, even though that bichlal is not a chiddush. What's an example where you're tearing something because you want to sew? The Gemara says the avdaki kista. It's like a pocket, and something is sticking out, and it's preventing you from finishing sewing the pocket. So you got to tear it a little bit, and then you can now sew the pocket straight. Mishnah, which is the Mishnah we quoted. So somebody's angry. He tears something in his anger. Or because Aval Meso. And then the general principle of Chol HaMekalkelin, any tearing which creates a kilkul. So we know Masechta Shabbos requires Melechas Machshavas. It has to be a positive melacha. So this is destructive, so you're potter. Somebody who destroys because in the end you want to fix something. Shi'uro kimisakein. The shear is the amount that you need to do takana for in order to give you a chiyuv. So if you're mekalkel amanas for that amount of tikkun, that would be the shear of tearing that would give you the chiyuv. Now, shear amalaben v'amenafetz. What's the shear if you want to dye a color? You're whitening the wool. V'amenafetz, you comb it. V'atzoveh, you dye it. V'atova, you weave it. Kimlo rochav hasit. Sit is a distance between your finger, your index finger, and your middle finger. That's a sit. Kaful, double that. Same thing. If you weave to chutin, you have to go a distance of a sit, which is again the distance between your index finger and your third finger. As far wide, like this, as far wide as you can get it. We'll ask you a kasha. You said akareb chamaso ve'evlo meis chayiv. So here it says, if you tear kriya on Shabbos, so you're machal Shabbos and you're chayav achatas. However, your yotze, your yedei kriya. I mean, if you have a chiyuv kriya as an avel, the kriya worked. But how come we said in our Mishnah that hakoreya al meso you're potter? Like kasha haben meisti day, haben meista alma. That means when he tears kriya for one of his relatives, where is a chiyuv to take, so then you accomplish something. It's not a mlachas kilkul. You have a chiyuv to tear, you tore, so that's why you're chayiv. Haben meista alma, but if it's a meista that has nothing to do with him, so there was just a meisa kriya. So the Gemara says, what do you mean giving me this kind of chilek? Meso ktani. It says very clearly, hakoreya al meso, his mace refers to one of his relatives. So, what We're talking about his relative. However, a relative, the lav ne'avilis, like a grandparent or a nephew, where there's no din avelis. So it could be your meso, but you would be potter in that case because there's no chiyuv kriya. However, ichachamu chiyuv mechayev. The problem is, if he was a chacham, you'd have a chiyuv to do kriya, even if he's not your relative. The Tanya chacham shemeis hakol kroivav. A talmid chacham who passes away, everybody's his relative. So how could everybody be his relative? Elaema hakol kikroivav. Everyone is treated like his relative, meaning hakol karim alav, you tear kriya. Hakol choltzin alav, they used to put your shirt to reveal your shoulder. Hakol ma'ivrim alav b'chava, they would all eat the sudas avra on the street. So maybe your relative was a chacham. Lo tzricha to love chacham. The reason why the Mishnah says you're potter, because we're talking about a relative who was not a chacham, and therefore there would be no chiyuv kriya. Whoever says the Gemara v'yodam kosher chayav v'mechayev.
Can I ask?
Yes.
You do kriya at the cemetery, right? At the gvura, right?
No, because sometimes if you hear, let's say somebody died in China, and in many years and a long time ago. So when you hear about it, when you hear the besora of the misa, you tear kriya.
Even if it's Shabbos. No, you don't.
So you don't. But he did. So the halacha was in the Mishnah that he's chayav v'chatas. He shouldn't have done it. But the kriya works. It's not like we say the kriya is an ineffective kriya because he did it on Shabbos.
Okay.
So sometimes there is kriya not by the cemetery, because sometimes you'll hear from a shmua rechoka, and if it's a certain relative, you would have to do kriya.
Okay.
Now the Gemara says v'yodam kosher chiyuv v'mechayev. Even a regular, not a chacham, even an adam kosher, you're chayev to tear kriya. The Tanya ne'ma meisim bonav uvnosav shalodim kshen ktanim. Why do Nishtagadach, people's children die when they're young? Kadeshi yivke v'yisayb l'odam kosher. In order to cause them to cry and have avelis for an adam kosher. I understand. Kadeshi yivke arvona shaklim. Hashem is taking a mashkon from the guy in order for him to cry? No. Ela mipnei shelo v'yisayb l'odam kosher. He must have had the opportunity to weep and to be an avel on a certain fine person who passed away, and he didn't. And in fact, if you cry for an adam kosher, your sins will be forgiven. Bishvil kavod she'asa, because of the kavod you did for the person that you're showing avelis for. So a person's children might. So you see, there's a chiyuv kriya even for an adam kosher. So maybe his relatives were adam kosher. The case of the Mishnah which said potter was talking about a lav adam kosher. I don't care who the person is, even if he's not an adam kosher. If a person is present when a person passes away, right there, he's chayiv to tear kriya. The Tanya, a person who's present at someone's ptira is chayiv to tear kriya. Like if you're present and you see a Sefer Torah burning, so there's a din that you have to tear kriya. So it's no different than a human being passing away. So lo tzricha to lo koy b'shas yitzis l'shama. The Mishnah said a koreh b'chamoso your potter because he was not there. He was not there at the Shas Yitzias Neshama, and they were not an Adam Kosher, not a Talmid Chacham. Fine. Tinich Meso. Fine. You've answered the stira between the Mishnah and the Brisa regarding tearing kriya for his mace. Ela chamoso kasha. What about when you tore because you were angry? So the Mishnah said you're potter, and the Brisa says you're chayiv. So the Gemara answers, chamosa nami loy kasha. There's no stira between the Mishnah and the Baraisa, because ha Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon. Our old friends in Masechta Shabbos, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is Rabbi Shimon, and Rabbi Yehuda, who's his Bar Plukta throughout Shas. And this again is ha Rabbi Yehuda Damar B'Lacha Shein Tzrich Lagufa. Remember, the index case here was, we said, person has a mace in his house, and he removes the mace from the Rishus HaYachid to the Rishus HaRabim. So there we learned there's a machlokas that's considered a malacha shein tzrich lagufa. Normally, why are you moving that mace out of your house? Because you don't want the mace in your house. It's not like you want the mace outside. Normally in the Mishkan, things were taken from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim because you wanted to take it outside. You wanted some usage of the item outside. Here we don't want the mace outside. We just want to get rid of the mace from the inside. So that's called malacha shein tzrich lagufa. If you remember back then, we read a big Tosfos, that's the way Rashi learns Pshat, and we're learning like Rashi. But Tosfos learns Pshat that Malacha Shein Tzrich Lagufa has to do with whether the Malacha is similar to the kind of Malacha that was done in the Mishkan. So anyways, here, when you're tearing something because of your anger, it's clearly not the intent of the Malacha. The intent of the Malacha tearing was in order for you to sew something. Here, your tearing has nothing to do with what you wanted to do. But even so, Rabbi Yehuda holds malacha shein tzrich legufa chayiv, and Rabbi Shimon holds malacha shein tzrich legufa potter. So the Baraisa that says it's potter when you tear because you're angry is Rabbi Shimon, because it's a malacha shein tzrich legufa, and the Mishnah who said when you tear b'chamosa you're chayiv, that's Rabbi Yehuda who says malacha shein tzrich legufa is chayiv. Says the Gemara, fine. Rabbi Yehuda says that even when you do a malacha shein tzrich legufa, you're chayiv, but he only said it when there was some kind of constructive aspect to it. But b'makalkel mishamaslei. But we never heard Rabbi Yehuda saying that malacha shein tzrich legufa chayiv if it was a destructive act. Here you're destroying. Oh no, I'm Rav Avin. Anami misakinu dikov nachasruch liyitzro. A guy was angry and tears something in response to his anger. He calms down. So it had a to'elet. It was a tikkun for the person who tore it. Frek the Gemara, uchai gavna mishori. It seems to say that this is a good thing, that for a person to tear, to calm down his yetzer when he's angry. Somebody tears his clothing because he's angry, or he throws a cup against the wall, or he throws his money in a pile because he's upset. It should be like, it's like worshiping Avodah Zarah. You've lost control of yourself. This, in fact, is how the Yetzer Hara works. The Yetzer Hara first starts off by saying, do this little thing. Then the next day, say, you know what? Show your anger. Tear something. Until eventually, Yetzer Hara will tell him, worship Avodah Zarah, and then you're going to worship Avodah Zarah. Amar Vavin Maikra, what's the pasuk? Lo yevacha kel zar, v'lo yevacha el zar, v'lo tishtachve le'el nechar. Don't bow down to a strange god. Ezeu el zar sheyesh begufa shalodam. Who is the el? When it says lo yevacha, don't have within you foreign god. Well, what kind of foreign god do we have inside of us? If Yomer is the Yetzer Hara, refers to the Yetzer Hara. So how could you tell me over there that it's Mesakein because the Ko'av Nachas Rech Yitzro? We see it's a very negative thing. So Lo Tzricha de Ko'avid Lemirma Emasa Inish Beisa. Strange concept here. It seems like it was permissible for the master of the house to show them anger occasionally, and they would break something or tear something, even though he's not really angry, but it instills fear into the servant staff, into the upstairs, downstairs, into the downstairs staff. The master would put on a whole hatzaga that he gets angry in order to get everyone to sort of hip hop and do the master's bidding. Ki had Rav Yehuda shalif matzbiasa. Rav Yehuda, he would sort of tear some threads out of a garment to show this anger. Rav Bar Yaakov tover mani tviri. He would break a glass. Rav Sheshes Rami Leila Amse Munina Aresha. Rav Sheshes would throw little sardines on top of the head of his maid. Rav Abba Taver Nachtama. Rav Abba would break the cover of a jug. They tried to do some kind of small damage to make a roshem, and that's what we're talking about. When Rabbi Yehuda would say, because of nachas ruach, it refers to this kind of case. We're talking about the benefit about mourning for a good person who passed away. So whoever sheds tears on an Adam kosher, Kodesh Baruch Hu counts them and he puts them in his storehouse. Shneimar, Nodi Sofarto. That means I counted that which is in my jug. Atasima dimosi benotcha lo besifrasech. Amid Amarav. Kolamis atzel bespeder shel chacham. A person who's lazy and is not masfid a chacham properly, roy lekodre b'chayv. He should be buried alive. Shenemar vayigberu oto bigvul nachlato b'timnat serach. Yoshua ben Nun, when he died, was not eulogized properly by Klal Yisrael. It says they buried him in Timnat Serach, Asher Bahar Ephraim, Mitzvon Lahar Gash. Malamid Sherogash Aleim Har Lahorgon. That the mountain got angry with the people because they didn't eulogize Yoshua. We those of us learning the Novi Shir Sunday nights, we will get to this not that far away. We finished Perek Yud Gimel or Yud Daled, so end of Yoshua is Chav Daled, so we're not far from the death of Yoshua, and we'll see what do you mean they didn't eulogize him properly. But anyways, so you see, you should always eulogize somebody properly. The person's lazy by a hesped. It will lead to shorten one's life. Mida kneged mida. The same you measured out, I will send back to you. He was not, Rashi says, he wasn't upset that this Chacham's life was shortened. So his own life, people, Shamayim, they won't be merachim on him in order to extend his life. During the times of Yoshua, the people worshipped Hashem. And then also during the Skenim who lived long after Yoshua. So the Gemara is asking, you just told me that people who are not maspid correctly, they won't live long lives. You also told me that they weren't maspid Yoshua. So how could these Zakanim live a long life if they didn't maspid Yoshua properly? They lived many days, not many years. So they didn't have a richas shanim. So if you can answer like that, Elamiyata, when it says Laman Yirbu Yemechem, Yemev Nechem Yamim V'Loishanim, that in order to benefit with long life, like we say by tzitzis there, that it's only going to be length of your days, not of your years. Or it says no, bracha shiny. When it comes to the Torah telling us a bracha, and says yamim, that refers to shanim. But by the klal, but over there when they were niklal, they only had extended yamim, but not shanim. If there's a bunch of brothers, one of the brothers pass away, everybody should be afraid about passing away. I guess because they have the same genes, and maybe they're all in the same age category based on that. So they have to start worrying about Misa on their own. Okay, tomorrow morning, we will learn Mitzvah Shem at 8 o'clock before we go to work. And that way, we're okay for Motzei Shabbos. Motzei Shabbos, we will learn at 9:15.